Today I wanted to talk about collecting and overconsumption. I believe that there is a very thin line between the two, and a lot of people nowadays are crossing that line. And that might have many different reasons that we will discuss in today's video, but it all boils down to the simple question: have you ever bought something just to complete your collection? So for example, maybe you have different books by the author and you don't enjoy one as much, but you want to have every book by the author. Or maybe your favorite artist released like 4 versions of the vinyl and you like 3 of them, but you bought the 4th one because, well, you want the full collection. There are so many different examples of this: perfume, makeup, music, whatever you're into. Overconsumption is always very close. Also, if you're new to this channel, I use it as a diary basically to just talk about some problems that a lot of people might face or to express creativity. I believe that it is very important to be creative, and I hope that this channel can inspire you to be creative through what I do. I will have my own projects here where I try different things, but I also want to talk about some problems that I notice about the world, so today's video is one of those. So let's talk about overconsumption, collecting, and why do people do that? I think everything in our behavior boils down to psychology, of course, and a lot about collecting and consumerism. As I said, there is a very thin line between the two. A lot of it boils down to psychology, and why do people want to collect something? It might just be because they really like those things, but a lot of the times it is extension of their identity in some way. So like TikTok is an extreme of that. I'm a cottage girly, so I will buy those mugs with mushrooms, whatever. But I think everyone does this to some degree. So if they want to be seen as more scholarly and smart, they will have a lot of books and they're literally me. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now, but they will have classical literature, etc. It's how we also fit in the community. We always as people want to fit in, and so we try to use our things and consumption as our identity, and our identity can help us to fit in with people who have similar identities, and that is not a bad thing, but also there is always, it's a very double-edged sword, because sometimes people, to fit into those identities, they actually do things that they don't enjoy just because it is assumed that people who, for example, like classical literature will like that author, so if you say you don't like that author, you're weird, etc. You understand? It was not the best example, but still. Actually, a better example would be musicians. So I used to be a big fan of Lana Del Rey for a long part of my life. I honestly haven't been listening to her for the last year and a half to 2 years, but I saw a lot of other fans, because I would follow some fan pages, collect every version of an album she released. Especially actually Taylor Swift comes to mind. Taylor Swift releases like 10 billion different versions of an album, and some people collect all of them. And I always think, do you actually like all of those covers, or do you just want to have them because it's an option and there is scarcity, like it will disappear and I need to have each and every version of this album? And that goes back to identity, because, well, I'm a true Taylor Swift fan. A true Taylor Swift fan will have all the versions of 1989 or something, I don't know, other albums. And of course, as I already mentioned, scarcity is a big one, because a lot of the times nowadays everything is being released in limited runs, limited editions, special editions. And I think that something that is very helpful is, if you could go to the store any day, any year, whenever, and buy that thing, would you still buy it? Or are you just buying it because it says right there that it is limited, it's not going to be available soon, and then you feel like you need to buy it even though you actually don't want that thing? I think that is a very good question to ask yourself before buying something. Of course, emotional connection to stuff is another thing why people collect different things. So the artist that you like, or maybe a movie that you enjoyed in childhood, just emotional connection. And I think that is one of the better reasons to actually collect stuff. And collecting doesn't have to be bad. Actually, a very good distinguishing question would be, if no one knew that you had something, so for example, once again with an artist, if other fans didn't know the value of that thing, if other people didn't know that you had those things, would you still want to have them? Because then it is just a want for you, and then it makes sense that you're collecting those things. You should have, I will go back to this later, but you should have a curated collection just for yourself and not for others, not in the whole fear of missing out, just like random buying spree. I think that it is also very important to understand when it is too far. Because at some point, I think if you have a huge collection of something, some people, I saw a comment recently, it was a video about books or something. There was a person who said that they have a private library of like 900 books or something. 500 of those are not read. I have like 3 books that I didn't read and I feel pretty bad about it, but I'm making that a competition, no, but it's just insane to me that someone would have 500 books that they didn't read and they will, well, the person said that they will stop buying now, or they stopped like 2 years ago. But how does it go so out of hand that you have 500 books that you never read? That is a lot of money. The cheapest books usually are around like 10, 15 euro, so it's at least 5,000, but probably much, much more. Why would you spend so much money on stuff that you don't even use? I just don't understand. So if you actually feel weighted down by your collection, is it really worth it, or is it just overconsumption that is becoming very bad for you as well? Because your curated collection should bring you joy, and you should enjoy like the place where you hold the stuff that you like. If it brings you stress, if you look, oh my god, I have so many things, how am I gonna move with all of this? How much money did I spend on all of this? If it goes into that place, just try to declutter, you know? Because at that point, it is just trash. Well, not trash, let's not be that harsh, it's not trash, but still, it is too much, it's just clutter at that point, and you need to free yourself from it. You don't need to be a collector. Another point of it being overconsumption, I think it's pretty obvious, but when you buy things just to have them, so you don't even enjoy it. Actually, this always goes back to music. I love vinyls, I love CDs, I love physical media. I think it's very important to have physical media so you can have a connection to the art that you're consuming on a physical level, because streaming just made music kind of, it's so devalued with streaming. But there are people who have so many vinyls and different versions of the same album that they don't even open, they're still sealed. And at that point, why are you getting all of those things if you're never gonna use them? And especially if you don't even know what you have, because if you have thousands of vinyls or thousands of books, you can't even keep track. You don't even probably remember what you have unless you have extremely good memory. So why why just buying it for the sake of buying and having? Because everything takes up resources. It's not that a vinyl or a book or whatever you collect, figures, mini figurines or something, all of those things take resources, money, work to make, and if you don't even use them, what is the point? I also mentioned FOMO, like fear of missing out, before. But if you're buying something because an influencer said that you should, or you saw a video and you got inspired, influenced to buy something, I don't know, maybe you don't need it. You should just think, and you should always take some time to think about what you're buying. But of course, if someone mentions something that you actually thought about, or that sounds like an amazing idea, then of course buy it. But if you're like, do I need it? Maybe I do. No, you don't. And of course, a very obvious one when buying stuff puts you in a questionable financial position. So maybe you don't know if you will have enough money to eat for the rest of the months, or you have stuff that you need to save for, or other bills to pay, and then you're spending it on your collection. Some people spend absorbent amounts of money on collecting stuff, because some stuff to collect, it's like very expensive, especially if it was limited edition, it came out like 20 years ago. You can pay thousands for whatever it is, postmarks, Pokemon cards. You can collect so many things actually. It's crazy. So I could go on and on about this, but I want to just sum it up and say that balance is something that is very important. I believe that collecting a curated, so having a curated collection of stuff that you enjoy and love and that represents you is not a bad thing. I don't believe in minimalism. I'm actually kind of the opposite of minimalism. I'm actually kind of the opposite of a minimalist. If you look at my room, I will show you. I will show you my curated collection in a bit. A smaller curated collection of stuff you actually enjoy is good. You should always find a balance between those things. You don't go into, oh, I should only have 10 things in my entire house, you know? I don't think that is healthy either. Really, just curate your space, make it into a museum for yourself. And before I go, I just want to say, I have this question that is kind of, sometimes people say it and it's like, oh, this is so deep. It's not, but it is deep. No. But really, we should think about, do we own the things that we own, or do the things that we own start owning us instead? Because if you own so much stuff that you need to rent out a unit to hold stuff, or you need to buy a bigger house not because you want to have more space, but because you need more space because you have so many things, so your rooms are overflowing, then are you really in control, or are the things taking control of your life? And I think that should never be the case in anyone's life. Or if you constantly think about it, like, how can I move with all the things that I own? That is one of like bigger examples. And yeah, just think about that, and also let me know in the comments what you thought about this video. I actually really enjoyed talking about it. I've been yapping for a while, so if you enjoyed this, subscribe to my channel, watch my other videos. Hope to see you in the next one. Leave a comment behind and to let me know what you thought about all of this. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. Bye bye. So, most of my collection is right here actually. Shouldn't be here, but whatever. I just had the light on. It's a bit messy right now, but I have my books. This is mostly art books. I have this Lana, and I have my vinyls. I have my vinyl player in another room, but some of the highlights: Troubled Paradise, or this one is a classic, of course. Actually, if you want me to make a video about my music collection, I can do that. So this is the second shelf. I have my little silver holder of stuff. So I have my hair ties and some jewelry here. I have this perfume box because I really liked it, so it stayed here. I have some more classical books here. So I have 10 perfumes, I believe, or 9. And I almost got an obsession with perfumes. I'm glad I left that quite quickly because they're so expensive and you don't need that many. But yeah, this one was the last one I got, like, I don't know, not a year ago, but closer to a year ago, I guess. So I have some other books here, some posters, some stuff, some other cross things, another rosary here actually. This does not belong. This is the rest of my perfumes. That's it. The George Martin books, a rat from IKEA, of course, boxes and some CDs, and 3 more books that I'm reading right now. This one I hate, this one I love, this one, yes, of course I love. Here is where I filmed. I have this helmet, have some more music, that's it. So pretty small collection, I'd say.